YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage back, and I've got another online battle replay for you. And this time it's going to be Roxolani, as for myself as Roxolani, and my opponent as Parthia. So a couple of cav-heavy factions, and some of you might wonder why I picked the Roxolani more often rather than the Masegete or Royal Scythia, and I can try and explain that. But my opponent picked Parthia, and he did not bring the build that I expected. I expected him to have more noble blood cav, less infantry, and some foot skirmishers. Because what I would consider to be a dangerous anti-steppe build would be a lot of slingers guarded by a large number of cataphracts and noble blood cav. Because then his slingers would be able to help deal with my horse archers from range, and any attempt that I make to charge in at them is going to allow his cataphracts to get some brutal charge. But you know what? Steppe noble lancers are also a pretty powerful unit. They're not cataphracts in terms of armor, but they do have a very good charge bonus and decent attack. And I mean, they're just not a bad unit for the price. I've got steppe noble lancers. You can bring even better steppe lancers, but I didn't in this case. The one unit that I am counting on is these Sarmatian Horsemen. These are some very tough melee horsemen, and for the price, these are, again, for the price, these are probably the strongest melee cav in the game. I think these guys come in at under 700 talents, and you get 48 attack, 38 charge bonus, and the big key here is 47 melee defense. That's very high. And then they've got 45 armor, which is nothing spectacular. For instance, Bactrian Noble Horse, I think, have 80 armor. And then they have 80 health, which isn't bad. But again, for the price of, I think it's 660 talents, you get a huge horse unit. And these Sarmatian Horsemen, that's why I picked the Roxolani. The Masegete have no such thing. By the way, some of you have asked me about Cantabrian Circle. I've never tried it on Rome 2, so I fire it up right here, and look at this. I mean, here's the problem with Cantabrian Circle. No one's firing. Like, it's like only very occasionally do my guys even fire when they come across. They're like just riding around in a circle, like singing Ring Around the Rosie or something. Like, I get a shot off like once in a blue moon. And does it keep your men from being killed? Clearly not. A bunch of my guys got killed, so I was like, that's dumb. So I quit using it pretty quick. Didn't get a single kill on the enemy with Cantabrian Circle. On Shogun 2, it wasn't the best thing to use because your guys still died pretty easy, but it did make your men much more accurate. On this one, it doesn't really seem to provide any bonus, so I would recommend against Cantabrian Circle, or whatever they call it on this game. I don't remember if Firewall's moving. Parthian Shot. Maybe the Noble Horse Archers don't have it, I can't remember. But in any case, yeah, don't use it. So I brought Armored Horse Archers. My opponent brought Elite Persian Archers. Elite Persian Archers are very good archers. Their attack is not as high as like a Parthian Foot Archer, though. I think he should have brought Parthian Foot Archers. And the reason I say that is because Elite Persian Archers don't have any more armor. The only thing that they bring to the game is that they have a spear for self-defense. So if you look at their melee attack and weapon damage, it's pretty sturdy for an archer unit. So Elite Persian Archers are not necessarily elite at missile attack. They're pretty good at missile attack, but they're meant to defend themselves better against enemies in melee. So I think he should have brought Parthian Foot Archers, as they have 32 attack rather than 29. They're a little more powerful, and they're a little cheaper. So he could have brought more of them. Now, my Armored Horse Archers are going to be able to just stand here and deal it to his men, because I can come in from multiple angles. You can see my opponent does box up with his cav and his hoplites, but I'm able to just take out his horse archers with focus, or his foot archers with focus fire, and he's in pretty big trouble here. If I take out his archers, there's not going to be a whole lot he can do to stop my cavalry. And some of you might be like, well, he's got 4 hoplite units. Sure, he can stop your cav. Yes, he could in the right circumstances. And he's also got camel cataphracts. He's got 2 of them. He's got 2 camel fracts, a royal cataphract, and a few noble blood cav. Noble blood cav, you can look at their stats here. Their armor is 60, which is higher than the Sarmatian riders, but again, look, that melee defense is way lower, and melee defense plays a huge role in Rome 2. Now, I'm going to slow it down for just a second. My opponent makes a smart move here. He takes a line of horsemen, and he pushes against my horse archers, and he's pushing straight back towards my lancers. Now, while he was doing this, I was busy over here looking at the flanks and getting ready to issue some orders here. So, like, I was about to issue orders to my men to start moving around the flanks like this, because, you know, I had my opponent surrounded. But remember that one time when I played against, like, Bactria or something, I just, like, head-on suicide charged his swords when he didn't expect it, and I was able to take out all his swords because he was like completely around here on the back of me. My opponent's basically doing the same thing here. He's going to attempt to, at least, because he sees that I'm all split up here, but I don't think he minds if I leave a bunch of cav back here to face his hoplites, while his cavalry might be able to single out some of my more elite cavalry and destroy it. So he's going to come down here and just start charging me. And again, look at my attention. My movement orders are coming up here, and I'll go to the overhead. So yeah, my movement orders are being issued for these two groups. And I'm not paying attention to these groups here. Like, I see what's happening, but again, since my attention was here, issuing movement orders, my opponent, and this is in slow motion, by the way, too, so it's all happening rather quickly. Most of you should be able to react to this, and so should I just didn't do it properly. But you can see that his guys are going to get an excellent charge towards my Armored Lancers, and by the time I noticed it, it's like it was too late. I kind of panicked, and I didn't have a chance to activate Trample and get a good charge. Plus, I'm going head-on with Royal Cataphracts, which is dangerous, and head-on with Camelfracts, and then he's got Noble Blood Cav in the mix. So this is going to be a brutal situation for me, and I'm just going to have to make the best of it. Now, fortunately, the Steppe Horsemen are very good, but I do get my Horse Archers away, which is a boon, and eventually I realized, look, there's not going to be any getting away. The good news is I split up his infantry from his cavalry with this retreat. The bad news is that I got charged hardcore in the back. By some beefy cav units. And then here comes his Camelfracts, going to reinforce. Good news again here is his Camelfracts don't get a very good charge because they hit his own men in the back. But they're still going to scare my horsemen. See how the morales drop to yellow on a few of my different horse units. But again, kept my general safe. I at least got to counter his units with something. The units on my left are going to get mopped up hard by these Royal Cataphracts and Camelfracts. The units on his right got hit hard by my Steppe Noble Lancers. And then look, I'm bringing in reinforcing Sarmatian Riders, and then I'm able to keep his Noble Blood Cav busy over here. But yeah, now that they don't get a charge, my Sarmatian Riders will make short work of these Parthian Horsemen. The bad news is I lost two very important charging cav units. One of them shattered. This one gets away with 20 some odd men left. So this one hasn't shattered yet. Yeah, you can see his general's now caught from behind. His Camelfracts are caught from behind. And then my other charging cavalry is now free to come in and reinforce. Plus I have Horse Archers in the vicinity. I also made another mistake in this battle. I left my general in fire at will by accident the whole time. I took all my armored Horse Archers off fire at will. Nice twitch going on there, general. But I didn't take my general off fire at will. So right now he's wasting ammo, and it's not really helping me a whole lot. But you can see I was able to crush his Camelfracts by weighted numbers. His Noble Blood Cavalry's got to go. Up here, he engaged me with another Noble Blood Cav, and his infantry's coming to reinforce, so there's only so long I'm going to be able to stay in that fight. And his Noble Blood Cav's doing very well here because they caught me kind of off balance. Yeah, you can see that he's going to lose his general now. His general did die, actually, right here. And then one of my Lancers did come back from routing with 24 men left, so that's huge because I need their charge. Against infantry, what I like to do, at least, is I like to bring these high melee defense units like the Sarmatian Horsemen, and these guys will be my anvil, and then the charging cav, of course, will be the hammer. So what I like to do is fix enemy infantry with these guys who can last longer in the fight, plus they have a nice bonus verse infantry. So with 48 attack and then a 10 bonus verse infantry and 47 melee defense, these guys can hold their own for longer than any other cav unit against even spear infantry. So again, they will be the anvil, and then my striking cav right here will be these Steppe Noble Lancers that will come from behind, hopefully. And my opponent is making a smart move here. He's running for the woods. He doesn't have much left, and so he's going to get here into the woods, and of course he's going to box up with his pikemen. I'm trying to draw a box and doing a pretty poor job of it. Anyway, he's going to box up somewhere right in this vicinity. And again, why is he going into the woods? Because it provides excellent cover fire from arrows. I do have a little ammo left, and I could get into heavy shot and potentially cause him a lot of damage. All of his guys are in hoplite formation, which means they're going to be maximum bracing. And they have great armor, good shields. It's going to be hard for me to kill these guys in the woods. So what arrows I have left are now going to be rendered pretty ineffective. So what we're going to have here is a small hoplite box versus a large number of cavalry that have to charge into the woods to get to the hoplite box. And that's another good reason to put his box in the woods, is the woods are going to slow down my charge. So my opponent is definitely making the right decision right here as far as the best way to defend himself. Now, did he make the right decisions previously? I think he had the right decision in mind. I think his build really should have probably focused on slinger units rather than or gotten Parthian foot archers. You just get more bang for your buck with the Parthian foot archer, and less you expect your archers to end up in melee. that would be the one reason to bring Persian elite archers, because again, their shooting stats, maybe their reload is better than Parthian foot archers, and perhaps that makes a difference, but the attack on the Parthian foot archers is better. They have 150 range and 32 attack, which puts them on the same level as Cretans. The biggest difference is I think Cretans have a little better morale and armor. But Parthia has access to excellent foot skirmishers, just excellent. And again, watch these Persian elite archers. When I charge them, they pull out a spear. So see those guys pulling out a spear? It does help the Parthian, or the elite Persian archers, but as you can see, it's still not going to protect them from stuff like just a blatant cab charge. It'll help them support something, but I mean, you saw these guys; they just got clobbered, laying all over the ground. You know, I mean, obviously going to get smashed. Steppe Lancer cab is brutal. It really is. It's very good, cost-effective cab. Now, Massagetei and Royal Scythia. Both factions have interesting things to them. The Massagetei have cataphracts, which is interesting, and Royal Scythia has access to some extremely elite Jav cav, which can also be handy in certain situations. I mean, they are very good Javelin cav, but they're also very expensive. Why do I use Roxolani? I think that Roxolani have good tools at a cost-effective price. The other two factions have interesting tools as well, like Saka cataphracts with the Massagetei are brutal. But in a multiplayer environment, it gets hard to cost justify units like that. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm just saying that I think the Roxolani have easier to use tools, basically. He does have some elite Persian archers here still firing. Only a few, or about half a unit there. And they're firing at some of my my Sarmatian Horsemen here. Ooh, the guy took an arrow to the face. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and charge in. So again, see how I'm going to fix from most sides with my, and I gave flank attacks too. It's not going to help a lot, but I tried to avoid charging straight into the hoplites, but see how I get all of his infantry fixed? And then here comes my Trample Charge from behind. So, yeah, the Trample Charge. And it didn't move his men a whole lot. You can see his box, actually, I'm gonna go into slow motion. His box held its shape. See, you can still clearly see the outline of his box here. The thing is that he got some attack from the rear penalties, where some of my cav, I guess, ended up getting into the... I mean, you see how, like, this cavalryman's here? It's probably giving this unit an attack in the rear penalty. And his men don't die, really. I mean, I'm sitting here looking, those guys didn't really lose any men. These guys routed with most of their men, so really it just ended up being a morale thing. If he would have been able to uphold the morale of his men, like, say, his general were alive, it would have made a huge difference. Because I didn't really kill a whole bunch of the hoplites upon the charge. It was after the charge, once the, check out my guys celebrating over here, throwing their lances into the air. It's pretty sweet. Also love the Rome 2 Barbarian victory music that goes on in the background. It's perfect for the Steppe factions. So let's end the replay and take a look at the stats. If I were my opponent here, I think I would have brought a slightly different build to counter the Roxolani. I wouldn't have brought elephants, because horse archers can deal with them so easily. I would have exchanged the Persian elite archers for Parthian foot archers, and if I was going to bring infantry, I probably would have brought cheaper infantry, just token infantry, something to keep my opponent busy, something to support in a cav fight, and I would have brought more noble blood cav. The camel fracks are an interesting idea. They get a scare penalty, and they're also very good on the charge and just a strong horse unit. The thing is if you don't get a good charge with the camel fracks, then their cost isn't going to be worth it. You could bring a camel spearman and basically get the same thing for a whole lot less price, and then just focus on more reliable horsemen, like maybe Eastern cataphracts, who are a lot more cost effective, and then noble blood cav. Not to say that camel fracks couldn't be a useful unit. I personally think they're a little more risky as far as trying to use them as an effective unit, because they're expensive, very expensive, and their attack is, I think, slightly lower than a regular cataphract unit. So again, not trying to say that it was necessarily a bad choice, it's just something I wouldn't have chosen. He didn't bring any horse archers to counter my own, which if he would have brought Scythian horse archers, it would have gone badly for him, because I had armored horse archers, and my guys would have been able to deal with his. That's something I like to do as the Steppe factions. I like to bring armored horse archers to make it more difficult for enemy skirmishers to kill my horse archers. If you want to bring cheaper horse archers, you can, and you'll be able to spend way more money on melee cav and shock cav. But it's a risk, because your skirmishers are going to be able to die a lot more easily. But then again, it's a reward because you get more melee cav and more shot cav. So it's kind of an interesting trade-off. Parthia is a fun faction to play against with the steppe factions, or to use them against the steppe factions. I think it's fun. They're one of those like middle-of-the-road factions that really doesn't have strong infantry, but they have some, which the steppe factions don't. And then they have a very interesting swath of cavalry available for them to pick. So anyway, I think it's an interesting matchup. I hope you all enjoyed this one. I know I did. Great game to my opponent. It was fun to play against him, and I appreciate him sticking in that fight to the end. A lot of people like to quit, whenever they see the writing on the wall, but I like how my opponent stayed there, put his spear box in the woods where it would maximize his chance, and did his best. So I appreciated that good sportsmanship and the fun game from him. He gave me a run for my money with that little move he did against my center. I reacted poorly, and he darn near got me with it. So kudos to him for taking the initiative and trying to knock me off balance. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.